not running against them. I'm running for the job. I do think having experience as a chairman of a major committee, being able to work and get legislation across the finish line, getting results, getting solutions. I think that at the end of the day, your colleagues know you. They know how you work. They know my work ethic and my willingness to do whatever I can to make sure the team succeeds. And I think it's important that we get things working here in the Senate again, get back to regular order, a normal process on the floor where people have an opportunity to offer amendments. A lot of that's been shut down under the Schumer Senate.
And that was South Dakota Senator John Thune making his case for why he should be the next Senate Majority Leader. Texas Senator John Cornyn also running for the job. He writes this on X: as Majority Leader, we will keep the Senate in session until President Trump's cabinet is confirmed. So far, John Thune has been publicly endorsed by Senators Mike Rounds, Steve Daines, Markwayne Mullin, Kevin Cramer, and John Hoeven. Cornyn is being backed by Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, and Rick Scott has won the support of Senators Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, Ron Johnson, Bill Hagerty, Mike Lee, and Tommy Tuberville. Senator Rick Scott also being backed from some powerful voices outside of Washington, including Elon Musk, RFK Jr., and Vivek Ramaswamy. The leadership vote is expected to be held tomorrow. There will be two secret ballot votes. After the first vote, the candidate with the least amount of votes will be eliminated, while the two remaining candidates will face off in a head-to-head vote on Wednesday. Joining me now is Florida Senator Rick Scott, the man himself, a member of the Senate Armed Services, Homeland Security, and Budget Committees. Senator, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And since the last time I spoke with you, President Trump did weigh in about the incoming Senate Majority Leader must be able to get his nominees confirmed even if the Senate is on recess. Tell me about that and why that's so important.
Well, I think the next leader needs to be somebody that is just hell-bent on getting Trump's agenda done. That is the most important thing. He has a mandate. We've got to get his nominees done. We've got to get his tax cuts in. We've got to get all of his legislation passed. It's as simple as that. Who is going to get that done? Now, with regard to the nominees, you know, the Senate is a process-driven place. So what you have to do is you have to set up a process to get it done. We can allow the president to do nominations if we go in recess. So I believe we ought to do that. I believe we ought to have a process to do that. Bill Clinton did it. Barack Obama did it. George W. Bush did it. The only president recently has been allowed to do it is Donald Trump. That has to change. We've got to allow Donald Trump to get his nominees in so we get this government going and get the changes made to turn this economy around, turn the world around. The world's on fire right now. The border's open. We're losing full-time jobs. There's so much to do. We've got to be in here full-time getting our job done.
So when Obama tried to do the recess appointments between pro forma Senate sessions, the Supreme Court said that a 3-day recess was not long enough to use the recess appointment power, and you needed at least a 10-day recess. I mean, that's a lot of time. If you play that out, the Senate would need to be in recess for 2 weeks. The earliest would be during Easter break, that you all have a 2-week break. Before then, you're basically telling the Senate to go on a 2-week vacation, right?
Well, if that's what it takes to get these nominees done, because here's what we know. We know that Chuck Schumer is going to do what he did before. He's going to try to slow down every bit of the Trump agenda. If that's what Schumer and the Democrats tried to do, if this is our only option, we got to do it. We've got to get these nominees done. Trump's got to get going here.
So you mentioned Chuck Schumer. He tried to stop Dave McCormick from getting orientation as well. The Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, is now allowing Senator-elect Dave McCormick to attend the Senate orientation. He originally said that McCormick could not attend because there was still ballot counting going on against Bob Casey. Casey is still refusing to concede, but the AP has called the race for McCormick. But now Schumer says both David McCormick and Ruben Gallego are invited to attend the Senate orientation overnight. What was he waiting for? For Gallego to win? He was announced the winner in the Arizona Senate race against Kari Lake Senator last night.
That's what it sounds like. You know, they didn't allow me to go through orientation 6 years ago. And this is just pure politics by Chuck Schumer. You know, he is going to do, Chuck Schumer will do everything he can to go against the will of the American people. The will of the American people is they want the Trump agenda. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are going to block it every way they can. So Dave McCormick is going to be a great senator. He's going to do a great job. I'm excited that he's going to go through orientation. But we got some great new senators. Bernie Moreno is going to do a great job. John Kerns, Tim Sheehy. We've got a lot of new candidates up here, and our new senators. They're going to do a great job and help us get the Trump agenda done.
And you're going to need their vote, right? You're going to need their support. Bernie Moreno, you're going to need Dave McCormick's support. How are you feeling about this race against John Thune? What do you need to do to make the case that you're going to be the one to get Trump's agenda through?
Well, I'm going to talk about my background. These are business guys. I'm going to talk about what business guys do. Here's what we do. Have an objective, build a plan, build a team, build a plan, measure, live, and daylights out of things. We know what we have to do in the Senate. What we need to do is have a plan to get it all accomplished. That's what I've done my whole life. Built the largest hospital company, a variety of manufacturing companies. I was governor of Florida. I know what to do. I will get it done. I will make sure Trump's agenda is done, and I think that's why I'm going to win tomorrow.
Why is this done in secret? A lot of people want to know. Look, we want to know who's voting and how they're voting. Why must it be behind closed doors?
It makes no sense to me. I mean, every other vote we take, you know how we're going to vote. Everybody ought to know how we're going to vote. I'm clear how I'm going to vote. I've been clear what I want to get done. I think it ought to be, like everything else. We ought to be transparent. It's pretty simple. The American public elected us to be transparent. Let's be transparent.
Okay, let me get your take on a couple of the issues, because China is expected to be a major concern for the new Congress. Some lawmakers pushing to end Beijing's preferential trade status. China's top climate envoy taking a swipe at Trump's environmental policy yesterday, telling reporters that China is concerned about U.S. climate policy changing. That's really rich, given the fact that China is the biggest polluter in the world. China is also sending a warning to Trump about Taiwan. The spokesperson for China's embassy in the U.S. telling Newsweek, quote, "The U.S. government needs to earnestly abide by the one China principle and prudently handle Taiwan-related issues to avoid severe damage to U.S.-China relations." Senator, how are you planning on handling the China threat? And what does that mean for you in terms of the votes you're going to need in the Senate to align with Trump on China?
Well, first off, I've been very clear. The Chinese government wants to destroy your way of life. As consumers, don't buy anything Chinese. As a government, don't buy anything Chinese. As a government, do not continue to allow China to have, let them off the hook on all their violations of everything. They violate the WTO. Why did we give them most favored trade nation status? Why do they have that? Why? There's no logic to this. We got to step back and start saying, we've got to make big changes up here and say, we thought that might have made sense 50 years ago. It doesn't make sense today. We've got to change it. We've got to change quickly. They want to destroy us. That's their goal. They're sending all the fentanyl across the border to kill us. I mean, 78,000 people died of fentanyl? That's coming from China. The Chinese government is doing that to us. They're trying to steal our jobs, destroy our economy, destroy us, build a military to be able to defeat us, hurt our allies like Taiwan. We all have to wake up. Consumers, voters have to wake up. And Congress, we have to wake up and do something quickly.
Well, like taking the supply chains out of China, give us your sense of what's going to be the hardest things to push through, Senator, because we know that you are in alignment with President Trump on his agenda. You're going to do everything you can to get that agenda through. But what's going to be toughest? Because I know that deregulation, some of these things he doesn't need Congress, right? He doesn't need Congress for deregulation. He doesn't need Congress for the largest deportation effort in U.S. history, likely. Extending the tax cuts. Am I right about this or am I wrong?
Yeah,
but then there's
you should be able to do that through we need to do everything we can through reconciliation. If he needs anything on tariffs, we need to try to do that through reconciliation. Everything we can, because it takes 51 votes. That's number one. But we got to, as a group, we've got to come together and do it. I mean, we got to be aggressive and do it quickly. I think the downsizing government. We're spending 40% more than we take in. We have just got to say, we're going to balance a budget. We can balance a budget and protect Medicare and protect Social Security. We can do all these things. I did it as governor. I balanced the budget. This Florida had not balanced the budget in 20 years. How do you do it? You say, this is my revenues. I'm not going to spend more than this. We've got to say, what agencies don't we need? Why do we have the Department of Education? Why? Our states should be doing that. Our federal government should not be involved in the education system. We should let each of our states do it, and we'll find the best. You know, if Florida's the best, other people will emulate us. What I did as governor, if I saw somebody doing something well, like Rick Perry, I tried to emulate it and do it better than Rick Perry. That's what we should be doing. It's the United States of America. It's not the federal government of America. It's the United States. Let's go back and give our states the ability to do these things.
So are those some of the hardest things you feel that it'll be the job to get through, what you just mentioned, tariffs and perhaps what you're saying in terms of cost cutting and getting a budget done? I mean, amazing that you haven't had a budget in so long.
We've never had a budget. We don't even have, I'm up here, I'm on budget. They don't want to have budget meetings. If I was the leader, let me tell you, we are going to get a budget passed. We're going to work on it every day, and we're going to keep everybody here until we get it done.
Now, that's an important point. No budget meetings. No budget meetings equals no budget. Senator, good to see you. Thanks very much. We'll be watching. We'll be watching the next 2 days for sure. Rick Scott on Capitol Hill. Thank you, sir.